Yeah, I think that's, for some reason, there we go. There it is. The audio didn't play with it, but I'd like to welcome everyone. Sorry for the minor technical difficulties. This is episode 1 of the Epic Drone Show, and what you're seeing now is the intro that you should have seen when it started, but I've got some kinks to work out in the studio. But we're going to go ahead and roll into the goodness here, and we've got a guest on the show today, and actually you've probably seen her videos. She is Drone Girl from Ireland, so way on the other side of the world. And pardon me, everyone, I've got a technical difficulty here. Trying to get my camera back. Okay, there we go. Now you can see everything live here. So we're going to cover a lot of topics today, and I hope the audio is okay. This is, again, the first episode, so we're working through some kinks here, but we're going to have awesome content. What I'd like to do first is introduce our guest, Drone Girl from Ireland. Now, what's really cool about this, she reached out to me on YouTube, and we were talking about drones, and if you've watched my videos, you know that I'm primarily a DJI Phantom guy. Well, actually, she uses a different platform and has actually captured some absolutely amazing videos. So without further ado, I'd like to turn things over to Drone Girl.
Okay, hello everyone. Hello. I just thought I'd play my pipes because I love the pipe sounds. Hello, and how are you keeping in this beautiful evening?
And we got a ton of comments. Can you see the comments, Drone Girl?
No, I cannot see the comments. I'm so sorry. I haven't done this. Where do I click for the comments?
Okay, they should have appeared in our Hangouts on air, but they didn't. If you go to the link for the live show on my main page, you'll see them off to the right. Okay,
I'll check those out now. The quads that I have is the unique Q500. I think it's just come in kind of recently in the market, if I am correct. Now there's actually an upgrade. It's called the Gunmetal Grey, which is the shoots videos in 4K. I think you have some videos in 4K as well. And I think the quality with the 4K is absolutely amazing. Well, as some of my followers would notice, I take a lot of videos of the castles that we have in Ireland, and in total we have actually 30,000 castles in Ireland and ruins. So please God, I'll have enough for my lifetime to fly over.
So are they in Ireland, or the people that take care of the castles? Are they somewhat drone friendly? Do they care if you come in with that versus say a camera on the ground?
You see, majority are literally left. They're literally ruins. And if there is like the ones are maintained, I would actually ring them in advance and ask them for permission to fly, if you know, because you don't want to upset people.
Yeah, and that's good that you said that, because I know, especially in the United States, and I'm in the United States quite a bit. They used to be more relaxed about it, but now I think it's because of a lot of the negativity in the news. Some people are almost seem threatened by drones, and it's a really sad state that we're in here. And I'm hoping we'll get into the same. I'm hoping that people will have the same mentality here that they do in the Caribbean, because I'm in the Caribbean a lot, and the Caribbean's really, really relaxed about it. But I do the same thing. I always ask, hey, is it okay if I fly? By the way, you know, I'm just here capturing some neat photos and videos, and you know, not going to fly over people and that sort of thing. So, have you ever run into any problems in Ireland? Were there people that maybe tourists that were there that didn't really like the drone flying around, or have you encountered that?
No, never, ever. I think mostly people have been kind of curious about it. They're always going to come up and have a look. and see, you know, what kind of drone it is, and they go like, oh yeah, that's the drone, yeah, we've heard about them so much. And you know, I was just, you know, we just literally showed them how it works, and they're all just, oh yeah, I think I'm buying one, you know. So people are actually very, very friendly and nice about it. And we don't have such a strict laws at this moment, but the laws actually come in. It's called IAA, which is the Irish Aviation Authority, and they're trying to introduce a law now in Ireland that, you know, you have to have a license. I think it's pretty much what you guys have over there in the US, you say. So yeah, so I'd say probably in a year's time or so, I probably will have to get a license to fly, because that's what they're trying to introduce is they're trying to introduce a limit how far or what height can you take and all that, you know. But as you know, most drones have kind of default set anyway, you know, that you can fly, let's say 400 feet up, and then that's it, you can't go any further. I think for Phantom that you have, it goes a bit further up than 400 feet, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the range on it, and I tested it. I was out over open ocean in the West Indies, and I took it to about, and this was straight out over open ocean. I exceeded 1.5 miles. So I mean, it's definitely got range.
Wow. Yeah.
And that brings up an interesting question. How was this your first drone involved with drones?
Well, it's actually my husband. We bought at first a tiny quad. I can't remember the name of it. It was one of those kind of flat quads that we bought, and it didn't work properly. So I had to bring it back to the shop, and they were like so apologetic. Oh, well, you know, you can get a different one. So we got another one, and that didn't take video. So we had to go back again, and then we saw the Phantom FC40 in the shop. So we were like, oh, will we go for that? So we went for that, and I was just watching him flying all the time, and then I said, can I have a go? And he hasn't seen a drone since in his hands.
Well, I noticed your viewership on YouTube. I mean, it's really spiked. Do you do any? Is it just people finding you on YouTube, or do you have a lot of people locally in Ireland that do?
No, what I do as well, I advertise as well, you know, so it's just kind of gain the momentum, because I am only a tiny channel, you know, comparing to yourself, likes, if you know, and I am still learning how to fly. but no, but it's great fun I think, to have this kind of hobby, you know, because it brings you to places that you could never imagine set your foot on, you know.
Yeah, that's and the cool thing is, and I've watched a lot of your videos, and you do a lot of photography on the ground as well, right?
Well, yeah, this is I think, you see, because Unique has this a steady grip, and that comes along with the quad when you buy the quad. And if it's windy like this week, I haven't been able to fly because the winds are way too strong. We actually had about nearly 100 kilometers an hour, like really strong winds. So there's no way I can fly it. So I just take my the steady grip out, and then it looks like I'm flying, but actually not. I'm running along the ground, and yeah, it's you know, it's a different way of different approach from taking a, let's say, beautiful video.
So if you oh, and there's a few questions. This is a Maine Coon cat. This is Sean Coonery, the big Maine Coon cat, and he'll be the sidekick on a lot of these shows. But the other thing I was curious about with the Unique that you fly, you mentioned that you have the handheld device that you can take off, and it's, you know, it's basically just like flying the drone. Have you used a DJI Phantom drone for comparison's sake, or have you?
Yeah, you see, I had the DJI FC40, and but I think if you have to compare it, I mean, from my experience, I don't know, the Phantom 3 that's out now, but I think that the DJI actually holds better in wind than the Unique. Just from my own experience, you know, because I had the two drones. But for photography, I think it's better the Unique, because it does exactly what you want, you know, to do. Like flies, you can there's different speeds you can take. You can go faster, you can go slower, you can, the gimbal, which is the same with Phantom, or yeah, you know, you can just operate, and it's, you know, and it's also got the screen and your transmitter that you can see which way you're going and all that. So it's, but I think for wind, I think the DJI helps better.
And speaking of that, and let's transition this into problems here. And the viewer just posted a great question. They said, how many hours flight time do you have on your drone with Phantom 3?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I missed that one. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, well, it's not how many hours. It's basically one battery. You can fly up to 25 minutes. But what happens is, I don't know what way is the Phantom, but with mine is that I get a first warning on my transmitter. It literally starts kind of vibrating. So you get first, it says warning, you know, your aircraft is low, so come down. So I think it gives you 3 warnings. So I've never gone to the third. Maybe you should test it and see how it works. But I've done to the second warning, and then literally I'll land down because I know the battery is about to go.
Yeah, it looks like just from what you've said and from what I've seen on the forums, it looks like the battery life of the Unique may be a little bit better, because I can tell you real world experience with the Phantom 3, and I did a few field tests, and obviously I used the quick disconnect prop guards, the gimbal and camera guards, so that adds a negligible amount of weight to it. But realistically, I usually with this find about 16 to 20 minutes of flight time. And I think DJI may actually say 25. Now, obviously, I'm sure that would be in optimal conditions, and it would be without all the extra equipment that I put on this. But I would say the Unique likely has better flight time. And there was something that that some people brought up, and there's been several reports. And I'd be curious to see if there's similar issues with the Unique, but with the Phantom 3 up here under the engines. Mm-hmm. There's stress cracks that people have been reporting. Now, I haven't seen them, and I still don't have them. But as soon as I got this out of the box, the first thing I did, and you can see these black and orange things, these are the mounts for my quick disconnect prop guards that I don't have connected to it right now. But that's the first thing I did before my first flight, is took out these 4 screws, replace them with the longer screws that came with the quick disconnect prop guards. The people that are seeing the stress cracks, in my assumption, is that maybe some of the Phantoms in the factory were maybe the screws were over tightened, and as a result of time and you know, the stress from flight, maybe it caused cracks to develop. But the housing of this Phantom 3 definitely is somewhat thin. I don't know if it's any thinner than the previous models of the Phantom, but that's an interesting problem that I've heard from.
Yeah, I think I have seen a couple of videos and people saying that there's cracks appearing, and I'm just like, well, my God, I don't know, how could that actually happen, you know? But anyway, it is interesting fact that I have seen and heard on YouTube the same issue with other people. Yeah. Yes. Well, but there's no cracks on my Unique.
Have you had any problems with firmware updates or any? Have you had any problems at all with the Unique?
No. It's just it's a very straightforward quad, you know, and it's easy to fly. I haven't actually had any updates at this moment in time yet, so I don't know. I'll see when they send out, and I'll see what comes out and what can I update. There's nothing at the moment.
Well, and speaking of updates, there's a few things, and it came out, I think it was on the 4th, which would have been I think it was yesterday when it came out, but there were a few things that hit the DJI Phantom realm. Number one, they released a new, and I know a lot of fans have asked about this, the new Phantom 3 standard, but they also released a firmware update, and in conjunction with the firmware update, they released, and I haven't, all I've done is install it. I haven't field tested it yet, but they've released a new app. The app for the Phantom 3 was previously known as DJI Pilot app, and now they've it seems like it's almost a rebranding, but they call it the DJI. I posted a video. If you want to see what the app looks like, everyone, there's a video on my channel that I put up about a half hour ago, and that's just a walkthrough. But on the surface, it looks pretty much identical to the DJI Pilot app with a few additional options and a few different images throughout. But I think it signals where DJI is heading with the Phantom. They did publicly acknowledge that they are going to be adding some sort of orbit feature. I know a lot of us had speculated that. We're speculating about that in the past. That has been confirmed by DJI. So that's something that previously. And does a Unique have like an orbit feature where you can film around an object, a stationary object?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's pretty much the same as the DJI Phantom. Well, I don't know the Phantom 3 because I've never seen it with my own eyes, but it's got the 3-axis gimbal, and it's a 16 megapixel, takes 16 megapixel photos, and the frames per second, it's 60 seconds, 60, yeah. And it's got the 3 flight modes, which is the smart, which is basically like a follow me mode, return home, and then it's got the angle mode. So the angle mode is the one that I always fly in that. I always take off with that, and I always fly with the angle mode because it lets you're in control of the quad. I have not tried to fly without the GPS yet, but so that will be a lot of fun to try. Have you tried to fly without GPS? Your Phantom?
I've tried it, and it's one of those situations to where, for me, in the Phantom world, it's just called the P mode, which is the the satellite and the satellite glowness, which are the Russian satellites, and then the vision sensors. And for me, for video and photo purposes, it's worked really well. So that's something I want to play with, but I've been hesitant to do it because, like any other camera, I'm the kind of guy that I buy a camcorder or just a point and shoot camera. The first thing I do is put a lens filter on it. I always wipe it off with a microfiber cleaning cloth. I don't like fingerprints on the LCD. And for me to take a Phantom and to put it into a manual mode, I look at this as some people may look at a Phantom as a flying toy, but I look at it as a camera. And from that perspective, I personally don't fly manually because it's just risk. I mean, the only reward I would get from that would be having more of a challenge when I'm flying it. Now, I do some things, but they're in the P mode, in the satellite mode, that are challenging. A lot of people comment, they're like, "Hey, man, why didn't you just hand catch the Phantom?" And I like to land. I've got a boat just really small in the front, and I like to put my case out there and land on that. And sometimes I don't get it exactly right the first time, and I have to take off and then reattempt the landing. And from that perspective, I like the challenge there. But I'm personally afraid to use the manual mode just because I don't want to crash.
No,
I don't want to break my camera.
That's the last thing you want to do. You want to crash. No, I mean, I think that's the one kind of downside on the Unique, just that there's no prop guards on there. You can't get the prop guards at the moment. I have seen somebody on YouTube had actually made his own prop guards and installed on the Unique, which I thought was a brilliant idea.
Well, and that's a great point, and that's something that the Phantom series, and it's partly due to the fact that a lot of the like the quick disconnect prop guards that I'm using on this 3, they would also work with the Phantom 2 or the Phantom 2 Vision Plus. So they've kept the form factor pretty much the same. And since they've been around longer, that's one thing with the Phantom. You'll find a lot more aftermarket accessories. And that's one of the reasons I've kind of stuck with this platform. But I'm not opposed to checking out the Unique because your videos have encouraged me to check it out because they're really smooth and it's just I like to tinker around with all the different technologies. So it's good to hear all your positives about it. Because is there anything that you would say that you don't like about the Unique? Have you had any sort of anything that you think could have been done better with it?
You see, I'm not such a drone expert because I've only had like the 2 quads, like the Phantom, and now I've got the Unique. But I can say one thing is that it is absolute pleasure to fly. and it is easy to fly because it just does exactly what you want it to do. Now, of course, what I don't like is that we have so much wind lately. And I had actually one little scare, and I thought, oh my God, is this where I'm going to lose my quad? Because by the time we got to this place to fly, it was on the coast in Ireland, obviously. And by the time I got up in the air to fly, the wind was actually so strong that the gust just came out of nowhere and literally blew my quad right across, like all the way away from me, far away. And I was like, this is it. I'm never going to get it back because it just kept going away and away from me. But I managed to get back safely, so it was all good.
That's good. That's good. You landed.
It is scary, like, you know. And sometimes sometimes I have to literally hand catch it because if the wind is too strong, it keeps bouncing, you know, and off the ground, and you can't really land because the wind is too strong. So you have to literally hand catch it. But you have to be careful when you hand catch the quad because the blades, you know, you can hurt yourself.
Yeah, it was Ricky and Glacius or somebody that caught one and got their hand chopped up. Did you see that on the news?
No, I missed that one. Wow.
Yeah, it was in Mexico or somewhere, I think. But someone had a good question about the. It was Bernard in the chat. He said, "Drone Girl, speaking of angles, what is the sequence of your twisting and turning of the Unique prior to flight? Is this checking the device or is it something else? How do you have to calibrate the compass before flight, or what do you do?"
Yeah, what I do is, I don't know about you yourself, but I always calibrate my quad no matter where I go and no matter where I fly. So I always, like, you know, it's the sequence is you lift, no, sorry, switch on the transmitter as always first. And then there's the left throttle, you pull it to the left. And then there's where it says the angle mode, that button there, you can flick it a couple times until it shows on your transmitter. It's, what does it say? I can't remember now, but it says like, I think starting to calibrate. And then you literally have to lift, you have 30 seconds, you lift the quad up, straight up, and you flick it, you know, rotate 360. And then you turn a 45 angle mode and you flick it again, and you do that 3 times. And then you place it on the ground and you have to wait until it does all the kind of sounds. And it says, like, you know, it's basically, it does kind of longer sound first and then the shorter one after. And that means it's fully calibrated and it's safe to fly.
That's cool. That sounds about like the, from that perspective, the Phantom and the Unique seem to be very similar.
I think it's very similar because I remember the Phantom was just a bit different. Like, you didn't have to find the 45 angle. Oh, sorry, yeah. For the Unique, you actually have to have a north. You have to face north before you calibrate. I don't know what's the point behind that is, because I was trying to understand why is it important, but you have to face north. So I always have to have my compass with me or a phone, you know, with an app. So I have to find north and then calibrate.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think with the Phantom, some people have said you have to go clockwise or counterclockwise, but I've done it both ways, and it seemed to sync up. But I had an encounter with the wind, kind of like you were talking about in Ireland. I was in let's see, where was I? I was out over. It's a small island out in the Caribbean. It's called Nevis. And I was out over the ocean, took it out over the ocean, and obviously the wind's blowing in towards shore. So, you know, taking it out, it was a fight. And had I not been coming back to shore with the wind at the back of it, I mean, I would have lost it in the ocean. I mean, it's a scary thing. And that's something with a lot of people ask, and something I think that we're probably going to start seeing worldwide is, as these drone prices continue to drop, we're going to see more people getting them. And what's happened, a lot of people initially, they're like, well, you know, I'd fly one, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. And, you know, in the past, a lot of people would hesitate to participate in the hobby because they were afraid of the possible financial loss. But I think what we're going to see now, as the prices drop, we're going to see people that, well, you know, it's only X $100. You know, I can afford to lose that if I lose it. I think we're going to see a lot more people adopt this hobby.
Well, this is it. Like, it's not cheap to buy number one, and when you have it, you do not want to lose it. You want to hold on to it, I mean, that's, of course, it's always in our minds as we fly, For me, the other aspect is that when I go out flying with all those old castles and ruins, is that there's a lot of bird nests, and the birds are literally, I have to sometimes kind of wait for a couple seconds so that they kind of go away, and then I can do my flight. Otherwise, it's just, I will have a bird strike,
Have you ever had a bird chase it?
Yeah, well, actually, it was last weekend. I was in Dorky Island, and the seagulls. I actually couldn't see it myself when I was flying because the sun was in my eyes, and I had like the wind as well was kicking in, and so I just saw like a flock of birds around me, and I was like, okay, I have to literally sit still. So I was waiting for a couple of seconds. The next thing, this gull just came out of nowhere. You kind of flew right at the quad, and then at the last minute, it just kind of turned sideways, I only saw that when I looked back on the tape, and I was like, oh my God, I almost had a bird strike, I used to work in aviation, so bird strike is a big word.
Oh, cool. What's this say? Let's see, we got some more.
Oh, actually, before you read the next question, can I just ask you, I saw that you said that Phantom 3 is your favorite quad. Why would you say out of the whole range, Phantom 3 is the favorite?
Okay, so what's happened for me, and I'll give a quick history for everyone here. So initially, my YouTube channel was all about GoPro cameras. It was all about travel videos, and then I decided to become involved with the drones, and I adopted the Phantom 1.1.1 when Phantom 2 was out, which was a mistake because obviously the Phantom 1 didn't have a gimbal. You could add one, but so I got into it. I figured out I would like it. I sold the Phantom 1. Then I got the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, with the built-in DJI camera. Actually, I had two of those. I crashed one into a tree. It was my own fault. And then the Phantom 2, which was my first 4K drone. I had the GoPro Hero 4 Black under it. And shortly after building it, the Phantom 3 Professional came out with the 4K camera, which I really liked because, and going into why Phantom's my favorite platform and why the Phantom 3 Pro is my favorite right now. From a video perspective, I can take this up in the air and I can get consistently high quality 4K video. And since it has the built-in, what's referred to as light bridge, I get the long range FPV, which obviously I fly line of sight. But if you're in certain scenarios, open ocean, etc., where it is acceptable to fly at a longer distance, it's nice to be able to see. And then even at short range, having that 720p HD FPV view is really good for lining up shots. I mean, I'm not an expert photographer or videographer by any means, but a tool like this enables me to compensate for my shortcomings. And as far as just away from the camera quality, just the ease of what I really like about the Phantom is that they've taken each version of the product and they've made it feel the same, but they've just added enhanced video quality, better app interface. And it's just gotten better. What I disliked was when DJI released the Inspire. I know a lot of us, when that came out, we thought, oh, this is going to be the Phantom 3, and it was actually a launch event for the Inspire. And that could have really derailed DJI from an evolutionary perspective, in my opinion, because where they're going now, I think this is, in my opinion, this is likely the best aerial video platform on the market, just from a size perspective. That's one thing, and I want to try Unique, but one thing I don't like about it is that I would have to carry a larger case. This will fit in a somewhat small case. I really wish it was the size of the Parrot Bebop, which in my opinion was a failure from a video and photo perspective. The quality was just not good. It didn't have a gimbal. It was software assisted stabilization. And I got a lot of feedback from my fans that the quality of the Bebop was horrible. But maybe Parrot will come out with something else that'll be in a more portable package. I mean, if this thing was about half the size, I mean, if you think about it, you would, just like a point and shoot camera, if you had a drone that was, pretty much pocket size, you would probably take it in a lot of you'd have it with you a lot more often, and you would probably capture a lot of events that you would not capture if you had to haul your case around. I mean, even this, I've got the huge case to carry it, so it's not much smaller when it's in the case than the Unique. So I mean, we're pretty much in the same ball game with that.
I know, yeah, because Unique, like, it takes up a half of my boot, you know. So it does. Yeah, but what was I just saw a question there? What was the question there? Anyway, I wanted to ask you the Lily. What you think of the new drone Lily, the waterproof? I think it's a brilliant drone, isn't it?
Yes and no. I've got it pre-ordered. I pre-ordered it about the first or second week that it was available for pre-order. From my opinion, I think it's going to be a fun drone. I like how it's waterproof, and if their marketing videos are legit, then I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play with. I don't think it's going to be a replacement. And then someone just made a good comment. We'll get to the GoPro drone here in a minute. The Lily is going to be fun from the perspective that it's so small and it's waterproof, but the things that are going to cause it to fail unless they come out with an updated version, it doesn't have a replaceable battery. So, even though it's more portable, you're taking a device out in the field with you, maybe get one short flight, maybe multiple short flights, or one long flight, and you're done. You can't recharge it in the field. There's no 4K Ultra HD. It tops out at 1080p. So if you're like me and you're filming in 4K now, you're not going to have the luxury, at least with and someone made a good point in chat right now. They said the Lily is overpriced. Actually, I agree with that. I felt that even though I did pre-order it, I pre-ordered the Lily, and if you pre-ordered it when it first came out, you got the lowest possible price. It's going to continue to go up until it releases. I felt that the initial price was too high for what it is, but you got to look at it from this perspective. What I admire about Lily is that they have this was a Kickstarter funded company, so someone had a vision, and they took that idea and they went out and they acted upon it. So I looked at part of the price for the Lily as giving back to them, enabling them to bring this to market, because they have to have money to mass produce this. They've got to have money to continue to grow their company. So from that perspective, I looked at it kind of as a donation and a pat on their back for releasing this product. But the product itself is, more than just a novelty. I don't think it's going to make it. But what do you think?
I don't know. From the way they advertise it, I think it's. To my opinion, I think it's brilliant. It looks good. I like the idea that you can throw it up in the air and then just takes off. And I think it's got the follow me mode as well. I don't know what kind of video quality it would take. I don't know what way it would actually behave in kind of heavy winds, because that's what we have here in Ireland. Not like where you are in the sunny. I don't know what part of America you are there.
Well, usually on the East Coast. I'm in the Caribbean a lot, down in the St. Thomas, St. John, that area. But typically, I'm here and there. I'm back and forth from the East Coast to that area.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in Ireland pretty much all the time, or do you go to other places and fly?
Have I got other places? What? Pardon?
Do you go to other places to fly as well, or do you pretty much just fly in Ireland?
No, it's just in Ireland there, because Ireland is such a, even though it's a tiny country, I'll give you some stats, right? I don't want to bore you too much, but someone actually told me on YouTube that, oh my God, your country is actually the size of my state. So here it is. It's 84,000 square kilometers is the whole country, right? So, and the width is 275 kilometers, and the height of the length is 486, and the coastline is 3,172, and a population of 4 million. So there you go. That's Ireland. It's tiny.
Wow, I've got to fly over there sometime and bring my drone with me. That's one of our place. My wife and I, a place we want to go for sure.
Oh yeah, you should come over and bring your what's the name of your cat again? Sean Coonery.
Oh yeah, he's over there.
Have you heard of, obviously you probably know John Wayne?
Oh, the
actor?
country guy.
Yeah. He was actually here in Ireland back in 1951, I think, to be precise. And there was I don't know if you've heard of the movie The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you? Right. And so, well, what we did, we went down to all those kind of movie locations. Well, not all of them, but, you know, the place that we could access to. And we found the actual cottage where the movie was taken. So we flew our quad right around. It's actually kind of sad to see that the cottage is almost actually gone. There's only like just one wall left, and that is it. But yeah, it was interesting. And when we posted that video on YouTube, then Maureen O'Hara, who was the main actress as well in the movie, she was Mary Kate Danaher, and the redhead. And she, her friends found our channel somehow. I don't know. I think it was through Facebook. And as she was sharing, she actually showed our clip to Maureen O'Hara, and she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm looking at actually just the one wall that's left from the whole lovely cottage that used to be."
Well, and that you actually brought up an interesting point with that too. By creating these videos on YouTube like we are, we're actually archiving history in a unique perspective when you think about it. Because I mean, you've got something on video that, you know, 5-10 years from now, it may be complete ruins.
Yeah, I hope like that there's enough castles left for me to fly around. But with all those 30,000 castles, you know, I think I have plenty to fly.
Speaking of castles and flying, and that was something with the Lily drone. See, it doesn't have, at least the initial release won't have obstacle avoidance. So if you were trying to fly around a castle or any sort of object, you'd be unable to. But there is something coming out in 2016, and it's the GoPro drone. So GoPro themselves are putting out a drone that's confirmed.
From actual GoPro, like, right.
Oh yeah, Nick Woodman's company, the surfer dude, he's putting out a drone, and my assumption, and I may be wrong, but I'm going to make this bold prediction right now on Epic Drone Show episode 1. I'm predicting that the GoPro drone is going to bring a 360-degree camera to market, because basically with that you could have a camera on the bottom, and actually if you wanted to get complete spherical instead of a half sphere, you could have one on top and one on the bottom. And then when you're watching the YouTube video, and there's camera on the market today, and it's not I had one, and it was underwhelming from the video quality perspective, but it was called the Kodak Pix Pro. And with it, you could watch a YouTube video in a compatible browser. It was like Chrome or an Android device. And when you're watching the video, there's little arrows where you can pan around like you're in that environment. So if you were flying a drone, let's just say hypothetically there was something to your left and to your right, obviously the drone camera is going to be pointing forward. But if you had a 360-degree camera on there, when you're watching the video on YouTube, after it's been uploaded, you wouldn't just have to look forward. You could pan around in real time, because when that video was filmed, you know, it was getting everything below, to the sides, behind. And that's something I think is really going to revolutionize drones. And I'm just speculating that this is going to be on the GoPro drone, but if it is, it would be something where in one flight, in essence, you could capture footage that would otherwise require multiple flights, because you're filming in those multiple directions while it's moving around.
Wow, sounds very interesting. Well, there's actually another point that just reminded me as you were talking there. Unique actually have released this magic wand. So it's, instead of using your remote control or the transmitter, as you guys say, it's like a wand, you know. So you literally put in your pocket, and the quad will follow. So if you want to say point that way, which direction, it will just go that direction.
So that's a separate device from the Unique controller. It's just a
yeah. I think you can purchase. I'm not sure whether I can purchase for my quad, because my quad is the first version of it. So, but I know that with the 4K, you can have that magic wand, or the wizard they call it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Somebody's asking me, was not Ryan's daughter in an Irish movie? That is an Irish movie as well. And then somebody's after correcting me that a boot is a trunk. So thank you.
And then we got another one from Eat for Jesus Rick. He says, have either of you recorded a crime being committed by your drone? I don't know if you.
No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends. I guess some people have recorded a crime if they were flying in areas where they shouldn't have been. They recorded themselves, but no, I never have. That's a great question, though.
Yeah, it's a brilliant question. No, I've never. No, I mean, I just go out, get in the car, drive up to some, whatever, you know, the countryside, and yeah, just plenty of sheep and sea and rivers and what have you.
Oh, and someone asked about the price of the GoPro drone, and it's actually it was, and this, if you do a Google search, if you search for GoPro drone, I think it was CNBC or one of those agencies that published it, and I think they may have a couple models, but I think the starting price, remarkably enough, may be around $500 US. So if they come in at that price point, and if they have the technology nailed, which obviously they know cameras, I think it's going to be a kill-all if they execute well.
Sounds really good. I wanted to ask you a question, actually. Now I forgot. Have you ever considered of getting the Inspire yourself, or unique?
Well, yeah, actually, you've prompted me to investigate the unique, especially, you know, since now they've got the 4K model, and then what you were saying about the Magic Wand type device for it. That's really, really neat. I didn't even know that that accessory existed for it. The only thing that would deter me from it, well, let's talk about the Inspire first. No, I will not buy an Inspire. I have no desire to buy an Inspire. The Inspire could cost less than the Phantom 3, and I would still not buy the Inspire. And there's a few videos I posted on my channel if the audience wants to check them out. Basically, aside from the size of the Inspire, I just don't like the Inspire because it's Phantom for me. Granted, firmware updates. There have been some problems recently with firmware updates, but they were easy to resolve on my own without having to make a support call. The Inspire 1 is just not a proven platform, and it's too big. What they need to do, what DJI needs to do if they want to create their and they're probably holding out for GoPro to see what they're going to release. But if DJI wants to get it right, what they'll do is come out with retractable or just flip to the side landing gear for the Phantom 3, so that there's no way to get the landing gear in the shot. Or option B, instead of pulling this up, they would come out with some sort of mechanism that would drop the camera and or gimbal assembly down, so that in essence you're filming free of obstructions. And optimally, that would be far enough down so if you're using quick disconnect prop guards like I do, they wouldn't even get in the frame nor with the props. So I think Phantom, you know, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think the Phantom is just it's, as I mentioned previously, you know, we're in the bag cell phone days. You know, when you had to carry around that big bag for a cell phone in your car, it worked, but it wasn't optimal. If they continue to refine this technology, this will become the iPhone or the Android before we know it. I mean, it's going to take a while, and hopefully, hopefully that happens. But the unique, I would like to mess with it. I would like to pick one up from a just to explore the technology perspective, because it definitely has some cool features and it definitely captures awesome video. And I mean, your videos on your channel are definitely a testament to the quality of the unique. But with that said, the thing that, and I indicated previously, just the lack of third-party accessories, the lack of, it's one of those, unless it's more heavily adopted, I don't think we're going to see the amount of accessories for it that we do for a Phantom.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Yes. Well, I think the unique Q500 Plus, or the 4K that has come out recently, I think that is that's something I'd like to at some stage to get my hands on, because even just to try that magic wand or the wizard, that as they call, and I'd say that would be nice. Brad Harris has asked the question: what is the typical drive time for Drone Girl to her sites, and how many times a week does she fly? Well, it depends on the weather. Like this week, I haven't been able to fly because the wind and the rain. It's like I don't know, tornado, storms, and we had I don't know if you obviously we all know this character from Kids, Minion. It was a huge 40-foot Minion outside McDonald's, and that got blown away, and it caused like traffic jam. That's so you can imagine if that got blown away. So imagine the winds that we're having here. So usually it takes about 2 hours or so for me to get to a destination and to fly. So
have you ever had to contact support at Unique have you had any problems where you've had to email them or call them?
No, I haven't. No, because I just try to be very careful, so that's why I don't mess up with my quad, and so I just kind of mind my quad. I always kind of check the props, because someone said on YouTube that it's actually important to check your props to make sure that they're fully connected, because sometimes what happens, they become loose, and obviously that could cause a flyaway or a crash, obviously. So I always kind of check those before have my checklist before flight as a good pilot.
So what all do you check? You check your props, you calibrate every time. What else do you do?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I do. Check my props, calibrate, and watch out for seagulls, because we have plenty of those around. They seem to be liking the quads or hating the quads, one or the other. Yeah. I mean, you fly around water, obviously. I mean, do you ever get some sort of like a close call where you say, "Oh my God, nearly fell in the water"? I think you've said it before, but
well, there's been a few times, and I would say about 80% of my flights are over water, and there's been times where, especially if I'm anchored up to where, maybe a boat comes by and the boat starts rocking, that makes it challenging. Out of good practice, I always try to bring it back to because I usually land on a boat. So always try to bring it back at around 35%. And then that way, if I do have to make a few landing attempts, or if, a breeze kicks up or a boat comes by, then I'm able to have a little bit extra battery if I need it. But it's always, and as a few viewers have said on here, if you're going to fly over water, you better expect to lose it. And that's my thing. Every time I take it out, I'm 100% prepared for 100% loss. And to that point, speaking of a loss or a failure with the Phantom, I know that the consensus opinion is that the support that DJI provides is pretty much lackluster. So it's a situation where, I'm also prepared, and I know as a customer, this is probably not a good mentality to have, but I'm 100% prepared for the DJI to malfunction to where it can't be repaired, and I have zero expectations for support from DJI. So from that perspective, whether I crash it in the water or whether it encounters a fatal flaw and I can't fix it myself, I'm in both of those scenarios, I'm unfortunately willing to consider it 100% loss. But I think there's value in all of us we're all still early adopters of this technology. So, we're seeing stuff that in the future, as this evolves, we'll know the inner workings of this technology. So if we have to troubleshoot let's say a drone issue 10 years down the road, we'll be like, well, we were the people that, I don't know if y'all know, if people out there have ever messed with MS-DOS or Unix command prompt, but that was the somewhat archaic way to administer a computer system or a server. Now we've got Windows, so it's pretty much drag and drop. But I think it's going to be the same way with drones. If you get it, if you were willing to take the risk and get in as a hobbyist this early on, that you'll be able to learn from trial and error. If this, then that type scenario, then as this technology evolves, you'll have a better handle on how to better troubleshoot and not only support yourself, but to support others. Because I think, if people are smart, if people don't abuse drones, if they don't fly into congested areas, and there's some stuff on the media, on the news right now, and I won't even glorify it on this channel because it's so ridiculous. Some of the things that people have done with drones that just give drones as a whole a bad image. And if we can't control all of that, the only way to control it, in my opinion, is that if we promote responsible drone use, and we lead by example with this technology as a hobby. I think we'll see this evolve, and I think we'll see it become something at a worldwide level that, just like the internet. Who would have known that the internet was going to lead to social media? Well, who would have known that drones are going to lead to ABC in the future? So, I mean, there's going to be something great come out of all this. I'm convinced. I mean, it's a hobby now, but it's definitely something more.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's amazing that where technology can bring us today. It's amazing. Bernard Caldwell said, "Minions blocking the way. Haha. LOL. What happened to the leprechauns? They toppled him over." That's what they did. But I was just reading some of the questions here. Yes, what I wanted to say that I almost actually lost my DJI FC40 when I was flying in, where was I? I was in one of the parks in Ireland, and I flew literally right across a lake, and I couldn't see which way I was facing. And I said, "Oh, this is it, it's gone." I couldn't see it, and then somehow I was just kind of going left, right, and forwards and backwards, and I managed to bring it back, which was kind of scary experience,
How do you do your NH Bird Dog asked, how do you do your intros on YouTube?
How do I do my intros on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. I just basically, what I do is whatever I have flown, I just I don't know if you obviously you've seen some of my videos.
Oh yeah, I've watched a lot of them.
So I don't know. It's just sometimes I come home and I record at home, and sometimes I just get in the car and just drive to the destination, and I just record in the car by listening to music. I love music.
Cool.
Yeah, I will love the AC/DC is one of kind of favorite. We have a little a kid, well, he's 2. And he loves AC/DC too. So every time we put on, his favorite song is, what was it? Thunderstruck. Every time I put on Thunderstruck, his legs just go bananas in the car. So, yeah. But I think the technology is amazing in what we can produce. And I mean, I always fly early in the morning before everyone is kind of up. Because obviously it takes a couple hours to get to wherever I'm going, so I'll be leaving like quite early. So so I would not interfere with anyone. It's easier as well to do it when there's no audience. You feel more safer.
Oh, most definitely. And that's the way I am when I do the beach destinations. I like to get out early, so it's good to have a crowd sometimes, because they like to ask questions, but then again, it kind of takes away from. Someone had a question earlier, way earlier, and it was about the new Phantom that came out. So they've got the Phantom 3 Professional, which is the 4K one, which is the one that I have right here, 4K 30 frames per second. And this was the original Phantom 3 that came out along with the Phantom 3 Advanced, which topped out at 1080p 60 frames per second. But now they've got a new one that they just announced. It's called the Phantom 3 Standard. And I'll be honest with everyone, I haven't really dug into the specs deeply, but at a high level, it looks like it may have a higher quality. I think it's a 2.7K camera, which, unless there's some other things that I haven't seen on the specs, it would seem that it would be between the Advanced and the Professional from a performance perspective, yet the price point's lower than the Advanced. So I don't know what's going on there. If anyone has any ideas. And someone asked a question. They said, there's so many questions.
Well, someone asked the most mysterious question for Drone Girl: who is videoing her while she's flying? Well, I will reveal that sometime, but at the moment, that person is camera shy. Let's just put it that way. No, well, of course, it's my husband who can, just takes the tape, sticks the camera, and just, follows the quad or whatever I fly. So, But he will come. He'll come in sometime. So
I do a lot with the tripod. My wife will do. She'll film me a little bit, but hold on, just a second. We got a wild animal in here. Hold on. Sorry about that.
well, introduce us with the how old is your cat?
Okay, so this is Sean Coonery. Everyone's probably seen his videos on the channel, but he's a Maine Coon, and he's not fake. He's a real cat. So if y'all were thinking this was a fake cat, he's really this big. A lot of people say he's a mix between a like a lynx, which is a Canadian bobcat.
Hold on. He needs some sort of introduction. Here we go. Are you ready?
Ready. Sean Coonery is here. He's not going to turn around. Hey, Sean Coonery, you're on camera. Hey, turn around so everybody can see your lynx tips. So see, he's got these ears, and he's got it's actually functional. He's got the tips of fur on his ears are called lynx tips, but then in his ears he's got fur, and that's designed to keep the snow out because these are cold weather cats. And then also on his feet, and you probably won't be able to see it on the live broadcast, but he's got tufts of fur on the bottom of his feet, and those function as they function like snowshoes because they increase the surface area of his paws when he's walking in the snow. These cats, they actually came from Europe and landed in Maine, and now they're probably more common in Europe than they are in the United States, but they're called Maine Coon. Have you ever seen any over there in Ireland?
No, I've never seen. They're like, it's just, I can't get over the fact that he's so huge.
The thing about him, he'll walk in and when you're sleeping at night, he'll come in and sometimes he'll talk to you and say, hey, I'm about to jump up on the bed, but sometimes he won't. And
he's like, hey, I want to go for a little walk in the middle of the night.
he will wake you up.
Do you have any other pets than a cat? Do you like dogs or? Yeah,
you said you've got a Westie, right?
Yeah, a little Westie, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
He loves it. He loves it outside, so we just kind of keep him outside because he just doesn't really. He's not really, even though he's a house dog, he loves it outside. He loves to be in charge, I think.
Let's see, Sean Coonery, he lives inside, but he's got a cat door that'll go out into. We got a little garage area, and he'll go out there to his litter box, and so but he can't go outside because it's so hot. He's just, he's built for the cold weather.
Yeah, I think Ireland would be perfect for him. So come here, tell me what's your next project? Where are you going to go next, flying wise?
Probably I've got there's some islands outside. You've heard of the Bahamas, haven't you?
Of course, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's out. That's not far from Florida, but there's a group of islands there's some really remote islands off of the Bahamas, not Nassau, but some little tiny islands that are basically just little spits of sand that stick out of the ocean, and that's going to be my next. That's going to be my next flight. I want to get some scenery that's not tropical, but most of the places that I go are. I mean, it's just when you get it on camera and you see the water and the beaches and all that, it's just hard to beat. So I hope to have that within a few months. I'll just have to see when I can get over there. But do you have any project? Are you going to film Ireland, or are you going to go to some other locations? Or
yeah, well, I have it in the pipeline coming. It's called the Hook Lighthouse in County Wexford. But I have to see what way the weather is. I mean, if the weather permits, then I'll be heading down there. It's about 2 hours drive. It's actually the oldest working lighthouse in the world. It's about 800 years old.
And so they still got the light on it?
Yeah, you can actually go inside. I mean, it depends whether it's open or not. I don't know that, but I have been inside, and yeah, you can look around inside and walk right up the top. It's amazing. The view is actually gorgeous down there. Absolutely beautiful.
Isn't there like is there a place in Ireland that you can rent? It's I've heard about, it's like a small castle, and it's like a 1-bedroom castle. Is that real, or is that just a rumor?
No, I've never heard of it. I must actually have a look and see if I can find out. I've never heard it. Maybe it's for Bono, like, Bono, you too.
Oh yeah.
So so that's where I'll be heading next, and see if I can catch some nice views down there, and maybe some nice waves.
That'll be cool, especially in getting the light spinning around on the lighthouse. That'll be a neat.
Yeah, and what I do is probably if the actual lighthouse is open, I will go inside with my steady grip, and there's like 115 steps to make up all the way up to the top.
Wow, that's tall.
So that will be my next kind of project, and then I think there's another kind of castle ruins on the way, and I'll stop there as well. It all depends on the weather, because in Ireland it could be like 1 minute it's sunny, the next it's rain and wind,
That's why the grass is so green over there. I guess it rains a lot, doesn't it?
Well, that's why I always say the grass is always greener in Ireland.
That's awesome. So you've got videos in the works, and yeah, I've got to get out. I promised my fans because the firmware that just came out for this came out yesterday. I've got to go out and do a field test. So I'm going to work on that and get those videos up.
I've seen you flying in quite heavy kind of winds as well there. I think I can't remember one of the videos where literally your shirt was blowing. You could see that the wind was very, very heavy. You were very brave for flying it.
Well, speaking of that, there's actually a device that I recently picked up. It's an anemometer, and I can hold it in the hand now and see what the wind speed is.
All right, very good.
But yeah, I've flown in like 35 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, well, I've done actually a little bit more than that, and it's not pleasant,
That's the one where you're over the ocean, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's where I thought, oh, it's gone, But no, by the time I got there, it was like I got up and it was fine, It was like 15 miles per hour. I thought, this is perfect, Well, not perfect, but it's flyable, it's doable, as we say. But at the time I got there, it was like 15 winds and about 30 gusts. So yeah, a little bit too heavy for the unique.
Well, what we ought to do? We ought to see if we can get a second episode up, because this is awesome. See, the thing is, and I'll share this with everyone out there, I didn't know if all this technology would work, and part of it didn't. But I mean, our audios, I'm guessing everyone could hear us okay and see us okay. So
I have an idea. Why don't we ask our audience, let's say, give us a challenge or something, let's say you do something and I do something, and we'll have a look at the comments and see what they come up with, and we'll pick, let's say, something that's within doable.
That sounds great. So let's do that. Let's, if everyone can comment on this video, and actually you don't even have to comment now. If you're watching this and it's not live, you can still comment, because this video will become a video you can watch offline after it's no longer live. We just obviously won't be able to respond in real time. So give Drone Girl and I some ideas for episode 2. If there's some sort of challenge or something you'd like for us to review and discuss, let us know, and we'll see if we can get something up, because I'm up for whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll see what you guys come up with. I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, and I'd like to say thank you for reaching out to me, because actually you're the reason that I put this show together, because I'll share with the audience out there, Drone Girl reached out to me, and she had suggested some collaboration and whatnot. And I'm like, well, why don't we just do a live show? So it kind of went from there to this, and just the fact that, we're in different parts of the world, and also we've had experience with different drone platforms. I think it's a great opportunity for us to not only learn from each other, but learn from the audience, and then, hopefully make this a recurring event. I mean, obviously this is episode 1 of Epic Drone Show. So what you can do, you can go to epicdroneshow.com, and all the episodes that are uploaded, after they're live, you'll see a link there where you can watch them on YouTube, and we'll definitely have a lot more shows. So send us your ideas, tell us what you think, and let's really turn this into a really educational, entertaining, and most importantly, just a show where you can share with others, and people watch it and they say, well, those people are responsible drone hobbyists. We really need to. It's more than just having a show and entertaining the audience, and it's about preaching the responsible drone use, because if we don't do it, if we don't set examples for the world, unfortunately, all of the people that are less than responsible are going to outshine us, and this hobby may be taken away from all of us at a worldwide level. So
I know, yes. I mean, that's why I never would fly around the airport, or there's actually a kind of airport or traffic path above where I live. And there's this gorgeous little kind of like old church, and I thought, oh, it wouldn't be lovely to take a flight. But then I saw the planes going, I was like, no, I'm not going to take that risk, So yeah, so it's just, I think the main kind of message to all from me is just to be safe. I mean, I always try to be safe.
And someone just had a good question in here. Well, number one, they said Wednesdays are good. What day of the week is Wednesday usually good for you, or do you have another day that may work best?
Oh yeah, I see that message. Yeah, no, I mean, we just picked this day because it was our first show, so we can set maybe for another day if that suits better for all.
Yeah, we can chat on that offline. We'll figure out. Maybe, because I know it's late over there for you, yes. Isn't it?
Pardon?
Is it really late over there right now in Ireland?
No, it's 1:30 in the morning.
It's 1 in the morning.
Yes, 1:30. We're 5 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, we'll need to tweak the schedule. So that, and then and another thing. So questions. This is a great point too that someone brought up, like a question and answer show. So maybe what we can do, we can have a set of topics, and then we can have like a break, and maybe pick the top 5 questions and answer all of those. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So Drone Girl, thanks again, and we'll get back up for a live show, but this first episode, I think it went off really well for us. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thanks for joining, and everyone out there, thanks for commenting live and sharing this with others, and most importantly, y'all have a good day. God bless and Sloan. Bye.